Welcome to Discover Indie Film. I'm your host, Jeff Howard. I've got Bill Prokopow with me. Hey, Bill.
Hey, Jeff.
All right, so Bill's a filmmaker, composer, musician, performer, a whole bunch of things. If you want to learn all about him, the podcast before this one, you should listen to. It's honestly a superb conversation. Which is, I probably shouldn't brag about the quality of the conversations one has, but that was a really good one, so I'm comfortable bragging about it. So listen to the podcast before this one if you want to learn more about Bill and his film Entrainment. I will add, Entrainment was an official selection at the Sherman Oaks Film Festival in 2023. I am the festival runner, so I met Bill there. And Entrainment took home Outstanding Short Film Sci-Fi, Outstanding Screenplay Sci-Fi for Bill, who wrote it, and Outstanding Creativity for Sci-Fi Film. So it's just a thoroughly good film, and there will be clickable links in the show notes of this podcast that'll get you to it and Bill and his work. But this episode is going to be a 4 questions episode, as I call them, which means Bill will be answering question 1 is name 3 favorite films, then name an underrated film, then an overrated film, and finally a lesser known for people to seek out. It's really just an excuse to talk about movies because one loves to focusing on your work, but then it's always fun to hear people's inspirations. You know, originally it was honestly probably also just I wanted to watch more great movies, but I think you're probably going to be podcast number like 475. So at this point, the list of movies I got to watch.
Yeah.
And then add to it that I every 6 months there's another 800 submitted to a festival. Like people are like, oh, you run a film festival. What's your favorite movie of the year? I'm like, at the festival or in theaters? I go, no, they're like Hollywood put it. I'm like, you think I have time to go to the movies?
Right on.
It is kind of funny, but I prefer the independent work anyway. All right, so you want to dive in and share 3 favorite films?
Well, let's dive in. I mean, I formed my answer earlier today, and it goes off well, actually, with what you just said about not having time to see stuff, because my favorite films are always changing. But what occurred to me today is that I've seen 3 recent films in theater that I would love to shout out. So the first one is Heretic. I saw that last night. That's the guys who made Quiet Place. Stars Hugh Grant. It is an incredible film to be seen in theaters. It has to do with belief and why we believe the things that we do. The production is done simply, but it is very complex in what it covers narratively, story-wise, cognitively, and I just found it fascinating. It's a horror film that really did it for me. So I'll say that's my first one is Heretic. Then I'll say The Substance, which is another one that you can see in theaters right now, at least at the time of saying this. Another horror movie that has a lot of substance. I would call it maybe body horror, but The Substance has substance. So I'd love to call that one out because I really enjoyed that as well. And then thirdly, I'll say The Wild Robot, which is an animated movie. Also, I saw in theaters, and I loved it. It made me cry a lot. Have you seen it?
Me too, yeah. I always though I must admit, the one exception to my don't get out to the movies thing is I have a friend in the TV Academy, and there's this, actually the best theater in Los Angeles is the TV Academy Theater in North Hollywood.
Okay.
And so anytime my friend who's an Academy voter invites me to a free screening at the TV Academy, I try to go if I can. And so I did get to see The Wild Robot.
Yeah.
And wept myself. Probably the best film ever made about parenting. By the way, I am a step parent, and that film is about a step parent.
Yeah.
Incredible. Just incredible.
Yeah. I saw it with my wife and my son, my stepson, who's my son, and it really hit home. It just hit all of us. So
yeah, actually, I never use the term step. By the way, I actually always say that's my kid, she's my kid. Like you know, I've been raising her from age 5 to 17. So I feel like I just feel like you're my kid. But but in context of that film, I had to use the step just to because well, congrats. Hey, look at that. We're both steps. Very cool.
Yeah.
And great film. I mean, I haven't seen Heretic or The Substance, but I've heard nothing but good things about both. And I do have a 17-year-old who only watches horror.
There you go. I mean, both Heretic and Substance are really good examples of how you stretch the dollar. I mean, just from like a production standpoint, a lot of great use of the same location, but there's so much that happens to the characters throughout that both of those movies push forward relentlessly. And I was on the edge of my seat for both of them.
Fantastic. All right, well, question number 2 is a film that you feel is underrated.
My underrated film, I'm going to say Coherence, just because it came up. Primer is also pretty underrated, or rather not seen, but I feel like still more people have seen Primer than Coherence. But if you like sci-fi, if you like scientific concepts broken down into really interesting ways, I highly recommend Coherence. I just found it fascinating. Yeah,
and it's on streaming. I forget how, but there's that justwatch.com. So type in Coherence and watch it. Yeah, it's excellent film, excellent cast. But I don't know much about that filmmaker though. Maybe I should. Who knows? Maybe they've
done much else. I think there is a follow-up to Coherence. I think that's been making the festival rounds this year. Maybe I thought I saw something about that, but I haven't seen any distribution plans yet.
Interesting. All right. Well, question number 3 is a film you feel is overrated.
To me, an overrated film, honestly, and this comes from I used to love Christopher Nolan. Inception used to be one of my favorite movies. Memento I thought was incredible. But the Best Picture winner, Oppenheimer, last year, I was not on board with. That's it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me.
I've heard this from other people. It's interesting because I really did like it, but I did see it in that amazing theater. I saw that at the TV Academy.
Gotcha.
And honestly, sometimes it's just the warm embrace of a beautiful Dolby Vision screen. But but I'm with you. I'm with you on. Yeah, I mean Nolan. I think Inception and Memento are 2 of the best films ever made.
And I watched Tenet 3 times because of the score. So I also have an
His
affinity.
scores are always so. The Inception score kills me.
Yeah, and like Nolan's affinity for score and how he treats it with the movie as a composer, I love. Because he respects the music so much and he gets such great things out of whatever composer that he's working with. So I thought the Tenet score, I've listened to that score on repeat for a long time, just so rhythmically complex and interesting, so many polyrhythms. So it's like if you just glance over it, it's a lot of synths and a lot of 808s and orchestra sounds that we're used to. But when you look closer at the rhythms and what he's doing, it's so interesting and so complex. And to me, Tenet didn't make a lick of sense, but I watched it so many times because I let it wash over me like a music video. And just all praise to Ludwig Göransson for that score, which I thought was incredible. And he also did a great score for Oppenheimer, but I just didn't care for that as much.
Excellent. All right, well, just one left, which is a lesser-known film that people should seek out.
Lesser-known film that people should seek out. This one was stumping me.
Oh, you could have cheated and just used Coherence.
I mean, if you haven't seen Primer, see Primer.
Yeah, I mean, everyone should see Primer. Everyone who likes, as long as time travel doesn't break your brain. I have a few friends who, as soon as time travel's involved, they check out.
Yeah, and Primer is, Primer comes up all the time on the lists of like the most accurate time travel movies. And I think,
or at least one that didn't do any cheesy Hollywood screenwriting cop-outs.
Yes. Yeah. You're not going to see anything that you've seen in another time travel movie. And in ways it doesn't even feel like a time travel movie. And I do think it kind of falls apart at the end, but so much of what it does was so successful for me that I still really enjoy that movie and watching it and sharing it with people.
Absolutely. Excellent. All right. Well, we made it. Something that popped in my head to mention. No, I'll mention it after we're done recording because it's a ridiculous physics thing. But thanks so much. That was really fun. And
this was great.
You are inspiring me to go to the movies. God, I gotta see those the Heretic and the Substance. And maybe I will. I'm gonna confess something. Everyone telling me to skip Tenet made me skip Tenet. I honestly I kept saying I've got to watch it, and every night I would say to my wife, "Well, how about we watch Tenet tonight?" She's like, "Really?" And I was like, "Okay, fine. We'll watch something we'll enjoy," because everyone convinced me I wouldn't like it, and you didn't exactly persuade me to watch it. But what am I going to do? Never see it? Never saw Bambi, but I'm okay never seeing Bambi.
We're past that time.
I'm past Bambi and Dumb. My parents apparently were anti-Disney, which I appreciate, actually. All right, so I'll get us out of here.
Right on.
Thank you for listening to the Discover Indie Film podcast. My guest was Bill Prokopow, and just so you know, there are clickable links in the show notes for you to see, get to know Bill better and check out his work. Also, like and subscribe to this podcast, please. If you want to learn more about it or the TV series that it gave birth to, go to discoverindiefilm.com. On social media, it's always at DIFwins. I mentioned that Bill's film Entrainment was at the Sherman Oaks Film Festival. We hold that one every December, so just find it on the web at shermanoaksff.com, and it's on Instagram. It's on social media at Sherman Oaks FF. Although I guess I am coming to a conclusion that maybe, I don't know, social media, what are you going to do? I'm kind of over Twitter. I was never in whatever. It's there is no Threads has not been added to the world, by the way, to my world. All right, that was a weird tangent. There's a sister festival to Sherman Oaks Film Festival that we hold every June called Film Invasion Los Angeles. You can learn more if you go to filminvasionla.com, or it's at filminvasionla on social media. And I'll put it out into the universe that I'm currently in talks with 2 or 3 people in other cities to do a film invasion in that city. So knock on fake wood. And finally, check out the Indie Channel if you're listening to this and you like independent films and creative problem solving from the spirited independent world. Just go to indiechannel.tv or go to your smart TV if it's Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, Android TV, or your phone, and just search for the Indie Channel and give it a shot, actually. Of all things, because we believe in what we're doing, you don't have to give your credit card you do for a 1-week free trial, because that's what the platform requires. But we actually put up, I think, a playlist of 10 films completely free to be like, if you can watch these 10 shorts and not want to subscribe, then who needs you? Because they're 10 really cool shorts. Nice. So anyway, that is my closeout. Bill, thanks for coming by.
Thank you so much, Jeff. This was great.
And thank you, everyone, for listening.